Okay, we found this in the public domain, public access, and it carries with it a public domain mark, Creative Commons, and the symbol here where it's not allowed to be commercial, etc. Okay, so we shouldn't incur a copyright claim or strike. There's no music playing in the background. It is audio. It's about 6 hours long, so we may record the whole lot, or we may record the whole lot and then cut it into sections. Again, we found this in the public domain, public access. So here's the Creative Commons licenses for it. So we shouldn't incur a copyright claim, strike, or infringement. This is the most important knowledge that you ever read about, apparently. It is an e-book or book format, PDF format, but to us it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of grammatical sentence mistakes, etc. So we'll go with this. We'll record the whole lot for the length of period that it runs for, 6.5 hours.
What would you do if somebody would at the present moment tell you that you would achieve everything that you truly desire? Money, health, happiness, fullness in life and fulfillment. If you would only invest some time listening to this message and understanding full implementation of the knowledge here contained, it will be absolutely granted. Sacred knowledge, available and used only by the most powerful. This knowledge, which was previously unavailable for mere mortals, and holds the key to everything that is important, is now available to you. This knowledge is the most secret and important in this world. Its usage grants that maximum power is achieved. Previously unavailable to the people populating this world is now available here. Mechanisms that rule this realm have been all disassembled to the first elements, and based on this understanding, a system has been developed that implies the most powerful and maximum usage of the laws present, for people who understood it and use in a certain way, making it all a natural process. It is a knowledge which possessing and appliance causes achievement of everything which is desired. Based on your personal work, that needs to be invested mostly on the beginning, and which does not involve the usage of any entities from the other dimensions, as it is forbidden. It uses laws that perform in this reality independently and which govern this world to be developed with the intentions of the universal intellect, although it is associated with only maximizing the results of those laws by understanding of all that is to be and by acting with certainties that are pointed, giving the most prolific effects and to produce the best results ever possible. Would you take your time and do whatever is necessary to completely change your life, as you have dreamed of? Would you take this challenge or refuse it? It is guaranteed for all, independent of any other reasons, as we are all as one, and laws are the same for everyone. Understanding is the key to achievement, but the work performed and the actions taken are the necessity which show results. Have you already made your choice? Is it yes? Then listen on. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. Do you know that feeling for which every person in this reality strives for? The one that you live after consuming high doses of alcohol, or which can be experienced through the usage of stronger drugs? It's the goal of us all, to feel good, and that's the ultimate prize. What would you do if we're told that this godlike state of feeling happy, powerful, best and the most loved can last forever, and drugs only permit 0.01% too of its intensity at their peak level, of 100% that is? Would you take an action now, if you were told that you would be all the time on it, living it, without the consumption of any drugs, after implementation of the knowledge here written? Would you follow, if you would know that after realization of this text map fully, you would gain all those qualities you've always desired, turn your life on the best what is possible and make it a living dream of your reality. Having the wealth, the joy, a sense to wake up every day waiting for more of what it has to offer? Would you refuse? This is how it is. Either take the certainty you have been given by finding this work and putting the knowledge to action, or suffer the consequences of having not. It's only your choice. Your personal work and effort would be required. Continue. To up to 0.04% is possible, but due to other factors involved, nobody in practice never experiences it beyond the 0.01% mark of 100%, that is. Usually, it's much less than it. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 1. The preliminary process of change. 0.01. Beginnings of understanding. All great journeys begin with finding and setting a worthy cause to live for. The one which achievement would set you apart from others and would create a flow of abundance in your life. If you want change, you need to change. It's the only thing that is required. The rest is only just a follow-up process that might require certain efforts, tools, means for attainment, and this is something you shall find with the appropriate drives. The process of attaining any knowledge, understanding it with the purpose of its use and growing, is connected to the chakra sphere. Firstly, we encounter fear, which is the lowest. Below ourselves, would this work? Would I die? What if not? What if I would lose 5 years? Or what if the results would be poor, not as I wanted? What if somebody has done a joke to use people such as me for their purposes? In the next step, when the previous are answered, partially questioned, it is either skipped in a certain way if there are no warnings, red flags or other means that are sensed wrong. Intended or not, it comes to opening its content / taking particular action, but only to the point of taking a glimpse. For example, reading few words or either sentences from various paragraphs or sometimes even a section. Few also read a preface, and assessing does it make sense. Are there issues that are valid to the person with a specific belief system, based on the experiences, however also temporarily on emotions, state or all the surrounding conditions. We're rather all emotional, indeed very simplistic and commonly lazy, emotion-driven to cover our true feelings that are the source of our actions, even if some may refuse to acknowledge it. We want everything now. We also want to be seen by others in a positive view, and nobody is really free from the least to the end. Proactive is the next. If the previous have passed, we're in a state of excitement and want to get everything now. However, the first enjoyment suddenly drops as the reality sets in. More than 98% plus never really finishes anything to the end. Motivations are high on the beginning only, therefore you might pay for the gym, go few first times and end up keeping to pay the monthly tariff for a full year which was imposed. Only the best, who have got a certain brain programming and attributes, with all the conditions attached, really make it to the end. It's also common that many influenced by the lower chakras wants to give it a try, that is, on the side, a recipe for the failure expectation. Indeed, 95% of them, with such approach, resigns, as they're easily swallowed by the unimportant predominantly tasks of everyday life. Therefore only few succeed in life, those that have put their life at the stake to win in it and that have applied all the required for the purpose of achievement. And it's done as such by you. Try to skip reading the next. You see, basically the only one difference between those who made it really in life are the ones who made a conscious decision that they would do whatever necessary to succeed, and it's done by them until the very end. Most resign, as there are no benefits in the short term. The process is hard and there are no shortcuts, but it's only valid to those 5 first years and everything is already ready to give you. But you firstly need to be prepared. Would you make such decision or do you choose not to? It will come after you, until you would, and the confidence exists that it's stronger in every step, that this is the way, the track that needs to be done. Firstly, by allowing a tiny bit of faith, then by applying it to the actions and knowledge gained, to proceed, the time required with those efforts and win in this period qualities, philosophy, all the wisdom, skill and merits that would make you a living success and a glowing example of accomplishment. Therefore, if you would act as others, with similar thought and participation, you would also have the things that others have in the last, would be rather guaranteed if you would only perform the track. However, despite all the financial gains and having a beautiful wife, home, car and all the other stuff, you would probably somewhere along the way find that beyond of what you've achieved in your life and the things you've acquired, there is something lacking in it, and it's a hole that is so big, either you would probably not be able to identify the causes behind. A happiness would be lost when you would get to this point, and probably you would see that all you've been striving for has no value really, as there is no fulfillment in having all those things, as they're just things. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 2. You're conditioned to be wary about intentions of others and aren't assessing that the message here contained may be 100% accurate and serve your purposes for true, as a real deal. We're conditioned that people always want to use us, to be cautious of them, their intentions, to assess the situation and put everything into a disbelief, even if the evidence is staggering. No one really seems to know that one might not act into taking a financial gain from the actions pursued, as most of the people who think so, blinded by the monetary, do see their reflection of thinking upon others. Firstly, there is an idea where the mind arrests, although very rarely, usually might have a completely different point of perspective and set of values and therefore thinking, due to their extensive knowledge and understanding. The one which would be not known to you as to the benefits, and in result, you would completely deny and leave, or rather become open to what they have to say, as they might know more and most of the important things that may be potentially envisioned by you. Without this wisdom, invisible laws that work in this reality guarantee that if a person responsible for the intentional harm or serving of an immoral cause would even achieve his goals, he would be severely punished in time that would be quite extended to not influence the free will. So yes, always be careful, but predominantly understand that in this realm, there is really nothing you need to be afraid of. Acting immoral is the worst possible outcome that would be served back upon all the people who do such upon others, through their actions. This physical world is a mere expression of those hidden and working behind the curtain laws, which enforce always, with no intentions but by the consistent nature, to forever perform similarly as pre-programmed machines. You can't escape. Understand it. Nature is your enemy, who needs to be conquered as all is wrong. It should not, however, be perceived as that, but rather as a crucial point of reference of what is bad. Natural, pre-built in us drives and programming that we get on the birth, like for example comparing ourselves to others, seeing what they've achieved / what they had / how they're much better from us, in a certain way, but also a feeling that somebody is wrong, without the preemptive test of his knowledge, sometimes beyond our understanding. We tend to reject. The last needs to be dealt immediately, right now. Drop then any beliefs, superstitions or even things like judging, prejudice or any other towards this work. It's all a false, as comprehension isn't possible to be overcome in those categories or set of values, due to things you were blinded by. You can run, but you won't escape from it, so it's better to do it right now, as this is the moment, all in order to get a deeper understanding, to experience the change as fast and easily as possible, to rip the gains, leaving all the hesitations behind, and to abandon the old ways of looking and judging this reality. By implying your ego in the process or any other, you're blocking yourself the ability to receive and stopping all that is and wants to become a part of your reality. Let it all go. Just enter the process with the faith of a child with no understanding, beliefs, and knowledge. Trust it. Those who do as such win. Those who don't, their ego might be a winner, but they would eventually lose, as your problems would come back in time, because of the causes which weren't changed. In simpler terms, and it's always hated by everyone to acknowledge, but it's the truth. There is only one way to happiness, and it's the way here presented. You would need to find it on your own with the usage of tools, methods and all the knowledge that is demonstrated as being the most important in existence. You can't simply be told what to do, and it's impossible to change a person by only doing so. Permanent adaptation is only achieved when you understand why the actions performed are hurting you, what to do to change them, and it needs to be presented in an approachable, straight and easy manner. The work needs to be done only in a manner compatible by the person who lacks have the will and the desire to become the best self, and therefore gaining by his actions, consistent with the existing laws, all the expected and searched values, things and qualities in your life. You might also wonder why, if I've found and invested time into finding the most secretive and elite knowledge existing, to share it with anyone? Why not to just use it, hide and become the best, gaining all for myself that exists? Well, it's again, nature, to get all for ourselves. The natural will to receive, not to bestow. Drive, that needs to and would to be conquered in the process, as it's the main enemy of any receivable. Essentially, there is a need to understand that when others succeed, you're also winning, as they, by their work, are improving your life. Imagine that everybody who you have known has got money, knowledge combined with the deep understanding, and is highly moral, so he can always be trusted with your life / to always help you advance. Wouldn't it be a great thing to experience? No, that spoils so their success would be yours also, from the very definition, so you would also become more powerful. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 3. In this reality, only those who have invested their time and effort would achieve such. Therefore you shouldn't resemble any greatest fears that they would get X times amount of money, then disappear and not even say thanks on the end, and it would be only a merit of yours by giving them this piece of knowledge. Forget about the last. It works the other way / never would work as such. In essence, and it needs to be understood deeply, that on the clouded behind your eyes level, the metaphysical one, invisible, similar like for example the law of gravity, you're performing a work that would add to your success, as you've conquered this fear of others gaining or attaining more than you. In fact, there is nothing really to be feared, as they would only succeed if they would change, and you, by helping them to do so, would increase your pace of success by either those hidden laws that count the progress of your spiritual 3 development. You might think that why should you give to anyone if no one gives to you? For instance, you might wonder that why to buy people / friends alcohol / food / serve etc. where nobody from them hasn't bought or served you. In reality, it's a question that is answered no, immediately. So, the next follow-up question is it right to do so? If you're doing it from the goodwill, surely not to experience any benefits, it will come back, not necessarily in the form of a drink / things served by you, and it's guaranteed, although the laws are set in motion, that by the time you would remember about it, the next 5, 10 or 15 years from precisely this moment, it would come to you in another form and be rewarded, fully and beyond. It needs to be dropped, completely. The lack mentality, if others don't do I won't also, because it's an illusion. You first need to become a glowing example by yourself, so as others, who are guided by the fear, lack and not enough for everyone, thinking, might be inspired by you and join the people who are free of the illusion of 5 senses, to become just as you, successful, inspired, who would desire to follow up the process that leads to change, which guarantees to give only those who are ready, although certain attributes apply also to giving and need to be followed. Number 1.2. Remember that it applies to all the good caused, and it comes in various forms, under a different people, circumstances or events, in the best time possible, and actually this wisdom holds the key to understanding the secret of a happy life, as giving the best brings you back only the best and promotes you to experiencing the desired, dream of, imaginable. It's all that is required for you to understand and be open to, at this moment. Share now. publish or give away this work to at least 2-3 of people you want to be in a partnership with, to build with them a business/joint venture in the years to come, with the highest success for your personal gain only, mostly people who you do respect. Additionally, allowing it to be seen by others might trigger for you a positive karma that would be particularly helpful in this task, as it would allow and may possibly unlock the mechanism to receive. So it's only up to you if you spread it on various forums, peer-to-peer networks, or in any other way share it with others, by allowing them to find it. It's only your choice. Do it right now, and after its completion solely, proceed to the next page. 3. Where you're advancing by rejecting the visible and overcoming your fears/the illusion. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 4. Change is not about understanding, but about the action, and only those who do the last are the true winners. Take it now, from the present moment, and continue up until its completion/of the process. You've already started the movement, and it would be easy to continue it by executing everything immediately upon reading. Know that you're only required to read at best the first few pages forward at a time and implement them to your routine/being limited only to those in boxes. It's all required. 3 months from now on are sufficient to apply all the other important teachings, making them your habits, and in result, change your life immensely, only on the very best. Follow all the lessons in order specified, as one leads to another, and the latter might not work or not work properly when changed. Continue then and implement upon reading, as it's easy. You should read this book when you're in a need to use relevant information. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 5. 0.1. First step. In order to achieve specific goals, you need to act in a purposeful, methodological manner. Making it more simplified, there is usually only one way where it can be achieved the most efficiently, and it needs to be always performed as such. You need to do whatever needs to be done, and it involves certain patterns of actions. In life you must always use what works, to save more time for yourself. In order to implement changes, certain items/elements or tools would be required to be introduced from the material world. The number one would introduce to your subconscious mind the patterns of success, specific methods of action that work the best and produce the most prolific results ever possible, or that have been ever achieved. They were all identified and all was implemented in this programming. Implying it in other way, you would become a person of success, just as that 5. The number 2 programming would cause you to change your mentality, get rid of all the patterns that might possibly sabotage the process, and in result, you would attract wealth to your life, due to switching from the lack thinking to the wealthy person. Yes, just as that. However, in order for the both to take an effect on you, there is a certain procedure that needs to be followed, through a specific minimum amount of time. It won't work if done otherwise, so you'd better make sure to make it happen, as your absolute fractional effort is required, at least on the beginning, to create a habit. For you use what works the best and is the best in existence, having more time for yourself to spend, relaxing, etc. 5. Your fears would disappear. You would be able to do everything that you've ever wanted. You'd start to act in a methodological, useful and purposeful manner with a plan of action / and many more, becoming better every day. It would progress with time, as you'd become more knowledgeable due to those patterns of actions that would become implemented in you. Act now. Your first task then involves acquiring files. Number 1. D'Artagnan Jones, Delta Success Programming, Part 4, CD 0411, Psychopathology of Success, and Number 2. Paul McKenna, Positivism, CD 02-07, Attracting Wealth. All in order to perform today. Your first induction with the usage of them. See the directions of use below. Directions of use. You put those 2 recordings in an order specified. Number 1 goes the first on the playlist. Number 2 follows on your audio device that has got connected earphones, not headphones, but earphones. The last must be adjusted to the specific eardrums. Left one goes to the left ear and the right one goes for the right. You play those, one after another, twice every day, after wake up and before going sleep, immediately. Allowed is only to do a fast toilet before, which consists the first and the last hour of the day. For a full year time, those required 365 days. Every day, you listen to those both recordings and take an active participation in them, by following the instructions that are played. If you occasionally feel asleep in the process, it's alright. It can happen, but make sure only that it won't repeat the next time. If you would skip a day or 2 in a week, it's acceptable, but ensure it would be done every day for a full year. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 6. If the time seems extended for you, you'd better start now. It would start to take an effect soon after, probably the first 3 months, in most instances. Therefore start the habit. However, you should continue, independent of the effects you would feel, as pace has been set and the rest would be replaced in time after. It's all that is required. Change won't happen overnight. It takes time. Do it at this current moment, immediately, as if you won't. It won't ever be probably done. Do it now, today, to the end of it or more if needed, finding the records, setting up the device to execute the process successfully. Take an hour, week or even a month, but ensure it's done. Until it's not, it's forbidden to proceed. Note: if you're a foreigner and don't know or know little English, it's required for you to find a transcript, text, of the audio, translate it to your native language or ask someone to do it for you / even pay somebody for it, and then learn all on your memory to be able to recognize the spoken words. It's the work which has to be done by you. Until it's not done, you can't proceed. Follow the rules. They are set to protect you, not to limit, and if such is done, the best would be achieved. It's an obvious matter, therefore follow them for yourself and your greater purpose. In the terms of the universe, it's simple. You either do it the right way and get the desired results, or you break them and you're severely punished, depending on the mistake. Error done. No forgiveness, no lifeline, no argument or getting to feel your problems / ideas / any other that might influence your decisions. It can't be much more simplistic, so recognize the pattern. Firstly, you need to believe, to see the evidence in your reality. It's an absolute certainty that after introduction of this knowledge to your life, you would reap the greatest benefits, so make a conscious decision to do whatever is necessary to apply those teachings. And now, until above are successfully executed. Take one small, but incremental change 6 at a time. Forbidden is to read any further. It's forbidden to proceed until the task from here hasn't been completed. End reading now. Finish the tasks before you would proceed. Take a day of successful inductions before you would continue. It's forbidden to proceed until you won't perform them. 6. Do you want to be a success or a failure? Ask yourself definitely this question. If you want to be a person of success, accomplishment, that is the rich, powerful and fortunate, you must be backed by the appropriate brain programming to rewire it for success. Without it, it's impossible and you're likely to stay a failure, even if you've got or had some achievements in the past or present. You rather never would be / or become, if you won't introduce those specific recordings to your life today. All, to begin the process of rewiring your brain / those who only won't become, not taking the action, won't become. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 7. Focus / as it's very important information for you. Consider it, take the appropriate steps. If you're not following, perform the changes first until they would be done, completely and forever. It's advised to start the full health restoration immediately. Number 3, parallel with the process. Number 2, and implement all the rest. Number 1 and number 4 / with the number 0.1 programming, obligatorily, now. Most people need confirmations and knowledge before they would engage into anything. It has been provided and the work has been started the way it's supposed to, from introducing the moral stance as a core of any achievement, explaining through example the opposite approach and all which is required to perform at your best. Then follows all the rest. However, it's not the way it's supposed to be done, but because it's needed for a conviction, it's been left as such, although for you applies eating only organic foods, as mentioned above, so proceed with it, if not followed yet. Notice that any further changes require absolutely programming from number 0.1 to be already introduced, in order to complete everything, as those are the best tools yet in existence, which would make you successful. It's the last warning. 7. Genetically engineered. Stop right now and apply. At the present moment there is a very real threat of your death due to consumption of GE7 foods, which components are secretly included in nearly all of the currently processed foods, meats and drinks, also being extended to non-organic fruits and vegetables. If they might not kill you instantly, they're causing a constant damage to your body, which is never felt when the organism is in relative shape. It would probably cause your death, as millions who were covertly killed already due to the diseases that seemed natural. The danger is real and very serious. Therefore, introduce the full health restoration, number 3 immediately / start from number 3.1 to allow yourself time to switch on safe foods. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 8. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 9. The foundations of your new moral philosophy. Before you would engage in any process of change, you need to sort things on a metaphysical level, as they would interfere it or even block any attainment. You need to be completely clean on the level of thoughts, hold no resentment, let go of any non-attached to the goal issues. You need also to have a set of instructions on how to act towards others and how the rewarding and punishing mechanisms work, all in order to establish your new way of successful living, which would provide you the required foundations for any progress and development. It all goes through the understanding and forcing yourself to act along the laws which operate in this reality, until your actions and patterns of thought won't become your true nature. 1.01 Things to remember. Keep in mind that knowing isn't enough. You need to build those characteristics as a pattern of your automated daily responses. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 10. 1.1 Moral laws, rewards and punishments for breaking intents of the Creator. This realm has a purpose and invisible laws which enforce goals for it. Based on their following, you would either have a fulfilled, happy life or suffer the consequences of breaking them, which would lead to your decay and death. 1.11 Moral field and parasitic philosophy. Every living person is subjected to the work of the invisible laws which govern your fate and all other aspects of your life, including success, happiness, fulfillment, circumstances, well-being, prosperity and all the remaining. The last are highly connected and bond with the moral field which stands for the core of any achievement. Each one of us has a metaphysical value of this energy accumulated within him, that remains hidden behind the eyes, however, which is felt or able to be distinguished based on the physical and psychical traits. It would be marked later in the text as micro and can be pictured as an invisible battery which everyone holds, like on the image below. The great majority of people / you although, without the knowledge of moral field, for nearly all your life, constantly have the volume of micro 0.4, never reaching any other states of the soul as such, to be experienced, with the drop commonly occurring after finishing of your active years. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 11. Level of moral energy, micro. Consequences. Nirvana, godlike feeling, micro, greater than 0.6, high beyond belief. State characterized by a feeling of an unimaginable happiness and power / beyond everything that you can comprehend, summed up together. The intensity of it, which is reached on this value of moral energy, can't be told or explained, as it's universe beyond what is to be experienced in yours whole life or you're capable to grab with your senses. It can be summed metaphorically as being crushed by the ocean of all the happiness existing, that is released in a split second and which could last forever. It's the ultimate prize from the universal intellect, God, for living up to the means He has set in this reality, being a feeling of a godlike power, extreme happiness and love extended by many more, and the one, which not even shade of, can be experienced through the usage of substances like alcohol, in high dosages, or a much more stronger drugs, 8/ that is, Holy Grail. It's the feeling everybody strives for and would give everything he has to be permanently in. The last brings also untold other benefits. Adoration, micro, greater than 0.5, feel good. Those on this state are adored by others and attract them to themselves. They're greeted with sympathy of everyone around, and it's shared back. They have a feeling of an ever-increasing happiness in their life, their sense of fulfillment is heightening and they're filled with happiness. Friendliness, micro, greater than 0.35, feel normal. Considered friendly, they're nice, helpful, oriented in a positive manner towards the world, focused on their lives. They put favorable contribution to the society. They're accompanied by laugh and moments of joy. Their life can be described as happy. Being unnoticeable, micro, equals 0.35. This is a boundary state between the moral philosophy and a parasitic one. People usually are very silent, not to be seen or noticed by others. Provocativeness, micro, 0.35, feel little depressed. False confidence. Marked as provocative and hard to live with. They don't have problems with doing everyday tasks. If they wish, they can be nice to others, although they tend to blast with emotions. Characterized as despotic, not respecting opinions, implying their will, uncompromising, competing for gaining advantage over others, blackmail, usage of force, violence, double dealing, etc. All those immoral actions are harmful. 9 to them. Malaise, lethargy, inertia, micro, 0.2, feel depressed, empty. People on this state start to do everything disproportionately complicated and practically impossible for them becomes the completion of any work. The consequences of their words are never actions. They start to lead an unproductive, parasitic and causing anxiety to others' lifestyle. They live at the expense of others. States of deep depression and lack of interest in their person are also present, which in most instances may lead to a spectacular suicides. For example, public mutilation of themselves, although auto-destruction attempts are taken only in the face of a certainty that the help would be served by other people who would not let them to die. Destructiveness, micro, 0.1, you don't feel at all, immense sense of emptiness. People who reached this state are dangerous for themselves and for the society. They're accompanied by suicidal thoughts, which in opposition to the state of malaise, are focused on ending their life. Additionally, they become victims of various causing destruction addictions, deviations, etc. Their psyche is unbalanced and alienated. Not only they live in a state of chronic depression, but also are characterized by an aggressive and unpleasant to others way of acting. Those people are very dangerous, due to the tendency to realize any destructive idea / act that would be passed off to them. 8. The last, in practice, resemble up to 0.01% intensity of the 100% that is experienced in this state / being limited to not even a breath of a single sensation. Power, for instance, dependent on the type of a drug. 9 people from this state to all the below, in order to supplement their deficits of this energy, they start to practice moral vampirism, which would be explained later. The most important knowledge you would ever read. implement and live up to forever. 12. Death. Through moral suffocation, micro equals 0. You die, slowly, in a terrible agony. This process occurs independently. People on the low amount of moral energy aren't able to perform any action to bring upon them death / therefore other people are used or accidents caused. It's a very non-pleasurable way of dying, as it leaves for those people who know the person an unpleasant 10 memories. Such units are characterized by the moral vampirism, which has a goal to extend their moment of agony, extreme physical or mental suffering, difficult or painful death. The last comes after, under the form of a usually random event, which might be a car crash, falling from the window, drowning, freezing in a winter, burning in a fire, yet also a bacteria, virus / disease or a health condition, and it only sometimes brings a form of the meaningful death / that is suicide. If you seek people 11 with nirvana, look for the newborns. Moral field 12 they're surrounded by is powerful as it's the natural state. Notice the attraction caused. Anything below nirvana is low. 10 death can come also at higher states of the moral field, if only the person resigned from development and refused to play this game. Number 1.11 XF / failing many attempts to turn him from the wrong, undesired for him, track. 11 animals are also born in nirvana / look for instance for all those small, little cute kittens, dogs, etc. 12 moral energy is described the best as power / that is its alternative name. Those who have it are the ones truly powerful. Those who are stripped out of it are referred to as powerless. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 13. Below characteristics allow you to identify and recognize those who felt below micro 0.35. Look and behavior aimed on gaining and attracting attention. The less moral energy, micro, you have, the more energy you put into attracting the attention of others. Shocking look and behavior becomes a goal in itself. A warning signs might be hair painted in a non-typical color, for example blue or green, beard, mustache, if the religion not forbids its shaving, earrings in tongue or ears, the last, specifically in men's case, controversial tattoo, eye-catching colors, attractant focus by clothes or any other way of gaining others' attention. It's also valid to the negative behavior that is causing problems, the necessity to be always in the center of attention. Those with high moral energy attract interest of others in a natural way, due to their powerful field by which they're surrounded, also losing interest in gaining anybody's attention. Procrastination. Not do anything until somebody would force you to / interesting phenomena, which is attached to it, is a common search for the justification of your actions, in order to not feel guilty for delaying realization of the tasks. Later, however, never comes. Procrastination never solves any problems, but only generates them. Aggression, hot temper, anger, caprices and other evidential on the supremacy of emotions. Overthinking includes also lack of control over emotions. Your lower amounts of moral energy, micro, cause a higher tendency to cause conflict, battles, also the physical ones, attacking of others or to take actions which bring relief to the accumulated emotions and aggression. You're as such easily upset, everything irritates you, and you glow with anger, show temper and inclinations to oppress others. Indecisiveness. When you have a low amount of moral energy, you aren't able to choose from things which can bring you more benefit. You often change once made decision or delay it, counting on somebody's suggestion, as in the event, if something goes wrong, blame this person, etc. In effect, it indulges a habit of procrastinating with every decision as long as it's possible, changing your mind and avoiding to take the final stance. Decisiveness is crucial to create any success. Therefore, if you can't mind up your mind due to the low level of moral energy, cooperation becomes impossible. The level of complexity and ambiguity. When you're low in this energy, you act in an incomprehensible and illogical manner. Your expressions are characterized by complexity and you never express outright. Such ambiguity and complexity relates also to your relationships, connections, and is noticeable when working with you. It's hard to get clear of what is wanted and how to get it. As you're non-systematic, it disallows any progress or finding any common ground for any achievement. Using and exploiting others. Increased tendency to turn others into your slaves, using them also to perform your work. In the beginning of this stage, its first signal is constant asking of others for help. In end, all you undertake leads to a catastrophe. Unbearable behavior, including the tendency to short-lived enthusiasm. You're inconsistent in your intentions, views, relationships, decisions, etc. This affects all aspects of your life, not only in the emotional sphere or a sexual life. It's characterized by your troublesome behavior. Any cooperation with you is either forced on many obstacles and in time progresses to being impossible, not worth the time to lose on. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 14. Noisiness. Empty vessel makes the most noise / the less moral energy you have, the more noise you produce, the louder you speak, the more people are engaged in what's done, the more you announce your achievements, the more sources of noise are activated. Noisiness is a potent warning sign for trouble. Your low moral energy levels are equal to that is problems, failed investments and all the others, undesired, being extended also to institutions etc. Sarcasm, aiming to cause harm in other people, creates a misery without the consequences of such act. It might be evident for such you to mark for the weakest spots in other people, usually the weaker, in order to do harm upon them. Hypocrisy is based on the gap between what's said and what's done, words that are said in person and beyond the back, words and the reality. In you, a person with the lower moral energy levels, it's noticeable that the both usually never match, as different is done, the reality, and told, to the others. Destructive addictions and deviations. You, with the lower morality, moral energy, is often trapped into addictions and / or deviations, the practices which harm you by the drop of your moral energy, drugs / pharmaceuticals which increase the release of it, lead to even higher deficits. Through your moral actions, you're severely punished by the invisible laws. Moral energy is the key to success, understanding, performing and happiness in life. It's responsible for the effects you're able to get in your life and it's directly connected with the amount of free will you have. In this world, there are only two types of people and they're only connected to the value of moral energy. Everybody / you represent one of them and it either requires a conscious effort or to follow the nature. The first brings all the best, construction, life. The last, all the worst, destruction, death. Share this document now with others, preserve it, by saving on various memory cards, devices. Burn it on CD / DVD and / or print, hide it to keep forever in circulation, if you haven't done it already. It needs to be dealt immediately, as if you procrastinate, you might one time lose the access to it, forever, as people representing the parasitic / overrun by nature mentality, would very probably want to destroy it, remove or at best, keep only for themselves. As it happened many times in the past, books were burned, to keep the people powerless. Save it and secure it, immediately, now. Your action is required at this moment and do it for yourself only. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 15. Philosophy. Totalism / moral good. Parasitism / immoral evil. Totalism and parasitism are two opposed philosophical extremes, which do nearly everything in an inverse manner. Due to its aggressiveness and lack of moral balance, parasites are sworn enemies of the moral people, rarely living in peace and attacking them with every arising opportunity. Those differences bring a key to understanding who is who and who pursues which philosophy. Number 1. Your sense of responsibility or its lack. It's the most important element which allows to immediately and without any error/combined with others, distinct the two. This sense stays beyond the cause-effect mechanisms that governs who belongs to each category of people. This sense, or the lack of it, is also directly responsible for all the qualities of totalists. For instance, fact that parasites never help each other is mainly caused by their lack of responsibility. You're feeling personally responsible for the effects of all your actions, events that you've took a part of, or the results you've got influence on. Responsibility for everything you put on somebody else. For example, parent, teacher, friend, superior, the other driver, council, government, etc., or on something else. For example, laws, low wages, poor lighting, lack of training, etc. Implications. Due to lack of responsibility for your actions, all taken efforts are wasted, and for the results of your failures, scapegoats are searched that could be charged with a fault, for example, as a result of a suggestions or an advice which they gave or delivered. All that is done by you is a disaster. Number 2. The rule you act. Totalism always helps, parasitism always interferes. Essence it applicable to all aspects and outcomes of those two opposing philosophies. It arises from the way of acting of the both, such as summed below. It's a forever ongoing fight of good versus evil. You're guided by the rule, always pedantically obey moral laws, as a result of listening to the voice of conscience. You're always guided by the rule, never obey anything, unless you're forced to. Implications. Going along the above stance leads in the long term to lack of creating in yourself the desired discipline and lack of skill to perform any quality work. When totalists learned on errors and mistakes, you've most commonly laughed from them, relaxing on your own, or used time on pleasurable things. In result, you didn't establish the required traits of character or abilities, which would allow you to end the started works, to have an extended amount of knowledge and understanding, or to be really good at something. In essence, when nobody watches and you're letting go, the habit strengthens. In first stadium, it leads to going along with the natural habits, skipping work or letting it go, and in the later term, masking the inability to perform any, to rely on allowances and using others to perform your job or own duties. It leads to many symptoms, one of which is a psychical depression / number 1.1. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 16. Number 3. Becoming a follower of the philosophy. Due to a conscious choice, as you consciously want to do in your life only what's moral and to avoid doing immoral / evil. By becoming systematically overcome by the moral disease called parasitism, as you're not ready to introduce any purposeful effort in what you're doing, hence the results of your actions are automatically ruled by the punishing mechanisms of moral laws, in similar way that the flow of water is ruled by the laws of gravity. Implications. Due to your psychical laziness in thinking and going along the nature, by not changing it, you're severely punished for breaking those laws / that is by going opposite to the line of highest intellectual effort. It results in losing your reserve of moral energy. 13 / number 1.1, micro happiness. It's associated with taking always the path of least resistance, the simplest, easiest and those pleasurable roads, which have an effect on your current fate. Number 4. Performing your everyday duties and decision-making. Anything you want to accomplish, you first check whether it's moral, and then after you realize it, you transform the task to a moral one if you've sensed it's immoral. You do what is the easiest to be done in a particular situation, the thing that is going along the line of least intellectual resistance. Implications. When you've silenced completely fault in your conscience, you're ready to take any action that is the easiest way out of the situation. For instance, if you lack alcohol and have no money, you go steal it, beat somebody to get the funds needed, or take it from others who are less psychically strong than you, who have the last item and are vulnerable. It implies also that cheated are your friends, family or the closest circle to ensure you would have all be well at a given moment. It generates for you a bad karma / number 1.2. Suffering of others would get back to you in time, which you're experiencing probably right now. That is jail / rehab, broken bones, ribs, being beaten, offended, trashed, etc. / you might get yourself killed or get permanently handicapped. Just see it, as you've probably had already close, unsuspected encounters. 13. You feel shit / shitty, that is depressed, unsatisfied, constantly angry, dissatisfied, empty. 14. Which is common. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 17. Number 5. Ability to predict consequences of your actions. Due to a different practiced philosophy, totalists and parasites have two opposed approaches to the repercussions of actions performed. Firstly, you predict 15 consequences, and if only those are for you acceptable, you took in any action. Firstly, you enter 16 in action and then you start to see its effects. Implications. You would firstly do something and then think about the possible consequences as they would appear in your life, due to the fact that you're guided by the impulses and practice the thinking laziness. It has got predominantly for you long-term consequences of prison and suffering. Number 6. Your most important care. In all you do, you strive to make it for the good 17 of other people / for the well-being of a specified person. For most, your actions are guided by the morality, lawful behavior, honesty, helpfulness, loyalty, etc. All you do is for yourself. For most, your actions rely on doing what serves you directly, or you direct your efforts on pleasing and satisfying your masters / taking a good care of those last, is a different method of indirect serving to self. Implications. Too many to comprehend / people to who you serve are predominantly the benefactors of the same philosophy, so due to your lack of thinking, you are on a slippery slope to crime, theft and all the others that would allow you to live in a state of the easy life, never-ending pleasure. It has got repercussions, that is jail, trouble, problems. You might lose this support group, lose everything you've cared for, which includes women, and get denial from others, when such help would be needed by you, including into the formula those who aren't known, due to lack of such help provided by you. No support will be guaranteed by the laws in the future, from strangers, which is probably the most touching / worst. You represent one of the side. If it's a moral 18 philosophy, you're good. However, it could be much better if you're still not in nirvana / number 1.1. But if it's the immoral side of it and you've been overcome by the sickness of the soul, if you won't change, worse could happen in your life, as it started already. If you would break laws operating here, you'd bear the consequences. It's only up to you. 15. As totalists are forced always to predict the consequences prior to any action. For all their lives they practice the process of thinking before entering any activity. It becomes your natural habit in time. 16. Parasitism encourages thinking laziness. Its followers never take the effort to think what the consequences of each activity would be. Therefore, in the progression of philosophy, this mental laziness becomes a habit. In time, you stop to become able to predict the consequences of your actions. 17. Its effects are only judged / you might have the thinking of a parasite, but outcomes count, that is care. The most important difference is that parasites are not acting in the good care of others / which are not their masters they look upon. They constantly interfere, want to harm, that is extract moral energy from others, etc. and destroy. 18. Those earlier symptoms of moral energy drop below micro 0.35, that is parasitic disease, might not be visible / if so, Q. If you're a parasite, just find yourself a purposeful job aimed at changing your situation / start to do it with the highest intent, at your best, and cease completely any immoral actions. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 18. Being conscious who is essential in the first approach to the subject, because it allows you to clearly be more protective of self when involved in such interactions. It's the first step to start change your nature, which is required to get the desired number 2. Take it seriously. Assimilate this knowledge. Look for the traits. Continue after. Take a day or more if needed / perform those tasks. 19. They're ugly, empty, evil. If you only look for the part as a first thought, it has got nothing to do with the physical looks. They're bitter on the face and usually constantly talking / seeding intrigue, looking for ways to extract the moral energy. Those might be the people which are surrounding you currently. If you've got offended, you might be a parasite. Skip this step in such instance. See previous page. Come back only when you've advanced in the moral field, that is, you would know as your character would change. It's required to get for your life the desired. To start the process / number 2. Stop right now and execute. Take a pen, draw the table with 2 columns as below. Totalists, parasites, sex. Identify people surrounding you and place them in the table, only those who you may think are parasites. They might be your family, friends, closest circle, but also employers, and many are there. Names with a description of the soul states might be a hint. Look for them in those people / number 1.1. However, avoid to be tricked by parasites who seem and act nice, as they usually want something that you've got. Typically, if somebody makes you constantly angry / is provocative towards, causing your emotional reactions, it should be a warning signal of his low level of moral energy. Micro parasites never smile, or the last is faked, which is noticeable immediately, and it's all written on their face. 19. Bitterness, anger, and constant frustration. Morality, moral energy level, is visible in the eyes. Those who have it high have got life / bright in them, and those who have low level of it, they're empty / evil eyes, and no attraction is felt towards. Some people might experience feeling of warmth / love from the moral people, micro greater than 0.35, and coldness / fear from those below. Share with the 3 of your friends, the closest and totalists only. This document as their cooperation might be required in the future. If you've done it already, spread this book to 3 more. Keep in mind that / if not shared this work in the times when such help would be required from others, nobody would provide it, as you did or wanted not to, today. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 19. 1.11x. Protecting your level of moral energy. Until knowledge about on how to protect your reserves of moral energy is obtained and used in your everyday life, there is little or no sense at all to go any further. It's required for you to know on how to hold to it before the last will be drained from you by others through your emotional / incorrect responses. Actions preceded by thinking which go along the line of highest intellectual resistance bring an increase in moral energy. That is commonly the hard but right 20 choices to take. However, it depends on the situation always which one is the correct. The common thing is that effort once done consciously is firstly easier to repeat, then it becomes an automated response which allows you to execute it without any work from your side / as thinking has been performed in the past, which contributes to the increase. As a primary task, you should learn first to identify attacks which sole purpose is to steal from you the moral energy perpetrated by others who represent the opposed parasitic philosophy / those who slipped below the micro level of 0.35. It's important for the reason that this energy represents you spiritual money. The less you've got of them, the less will you have, the less you're capable of achieving success, and basically, you're losing your happiness by giving it to others, even if unconsciously / number 1.1. Firstly, understand that parasites 21 attack mainly those targets which are vulnerable. It's done by them, because through their way of living, their deficit in moral energy, and draining it from others, allows them to continue their easy, comfortable life, and they must to have it, because they decay / die if not. Methods below are commonly employed. Cause you to react in an emotional manner. Easy. Mild rewards, used by the most, constantly. A variety of techniques are applied, but they use to stick with what works, or more precisely, what triggers your reactions. It's exploited and used in combinations nearly all the time. Examples might include interfering or destroying your work, attaching to the non-important issue and pursuing it, name-calling or attaching to friends or family/other members and saying bad words on them, humiliation, double-dealing, promising something and not giving it/to deliver, purposeful lying to be found, false attacking, see below, doing things which are annoying 22 to you that is talking all the time, etc. Most of those immoral behaviors serve them for the bad and deplete, but only under one condition: if they've failed to cause your emotional reaction. So it's a double-edged sword. If they're 23 successful, they've gained your moral energy and would follow what works the best for them. All that causes anger/other feelings and your emotional responses follow counts, that is screaming, raising tone of voice, blowing with emotions, etc. If you're not wanting to kill the second person, or at least are not very angry at him, he's weakly striving for this energy. 20. The right for you choices/only. 21. Those are blood-bone people, like everyone, who through their choices, chosen the parasitic life. Everyone can become one of them, and usually 99% of people die as the result of this fall in a moral field, in the years when they've ceased their purposeful activities/number 1.1. The downfall process is usually being triggered after retiring, death of a close relative, loss of a loved partner, change in friends' circle, accident, etc. 22. Instance might be seen in Bar Rescue episode 312, where people affected responded in opposite of what is desired to protect their level of moral energy, doing nothing or dealing through an emotional reaction. Passiveness is worse than any emotional reply. As more of the micro is lost/however, notice that ignorance of attacks not affecting you and your work in the process/number 2 is different. Notice that it's often this way that you're put into a certain position, for example a bar owner/your boss, and it never should matter, as it's only the illusion. If your boss acts this way, you're likely to lose job anyway, or the business would plummet due to his low level of moral energy, so it's better for you to leave either way. It might be an exaggerated example, but showing you the direction, as in real life. It's usually way too more subtle/they knew what had to be done. They've told it loud. Appropriate way of acting would be demonstrated later. 23. It has got even a name. Trolling is art, and can be used effectively on a distance. For example, online/working only for those with evil intents. Lowest reward/karma, number 1.2, is received when you do so and are unsuccessful at the attempts. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 20. Trick you to perform an immoral action. Hard to very hard, most rewarded. If they're successful constantly into finding a complying targets, they can live without barely no work at all. Usually the victims become very instantaneously drained. It's always an issue. 24. Examples might include, typically fear is used only as it's the most powerful weapon of a parasite and the most effective. If you won't beat this guy, I would beat you, so most do it out of fear. Cause you to help and/or causing you to break your own will. Easy, mild rewards, as it reinforces their defects, very commonly in the case of first. If the help isn't needed as the person can easily do it and you're providing it, you're being sucked from this energy. It also applies to the patterns which reinforce defects in a person, that is promote thinking, laziness, etc. The last involves predominantly breaking your will to help. Moreover, if something goes wrong, you would get a karma from the parasite. It also applies that such help is a way to cause your disturbance, and therefore increase the drain of the energy from you. It also applies to ways of getting you from the job/number 2. When you waste your time by dealing with a parasite who should have been dealt immediately or either ignored if your work is possible. It isn't told that you shouldn't help, but if you truly feel the last would be beneficial for a parasite, as he for example would get a job, so he would have the ability to increase his moral energy. You should likely supply it / when aligned to your will, only. Cause your unjustified fear, pity / compassion / a sense of guilt. Easy. Mild to high rewards dependent on the output of emotions caused. It's commonly more of a supplemental thing. When you feel a strong emotions, that is pity, compassion or other, which are not the ones which should have been caused. For example, due to lies, putting himself as a victim when in fact he was not, you, by believing it, without checking, you're losing your moral energy to that person. It also implies putting an unjustified blame on you for the things you've didn't done / or are in your current terms of own thinking, by feeling any emotions related to it, for instance, for waking parasite up / by being called a trash man / that is where you didn't or aren't. Methods might also involve telling you that you've done something wrong. For example, when drunk and you don't remember, without supplying the evidence, or that they've heard somebody told you've done something wrong or talked about you, when he didn't. As they can't prove or name this person / you're drained when you listen to it, believing, when it's untrue, loose micro after a delay, so you're not able to connect it. It extends also to unjustified fear associated with the threats made, which are without any backing for their actions. If one cries, just laugh, smile and make him feel idiotic / that is asked particularly women, if it always worked. Avoid to listen to the evil / avoid to ever believe anyone playing a victim or complaining. Those primary tactics are the ones which I used, as they're easy, speaking costs nothing and it gives so much. What's simple, works the best. As you might see, it requires for you to think constantly, in every level or any contact with the other people. If you're not trained in spotting those, instantaneously, who are below the parasitic micro, you would basically be drained constantly. After such prolonged contacts, you might feel drained. Without the energy, you've already given enough of your moral energy to them. Take the list you've prepared before and place it in front. Think now how you deal with those people up to this moment. 24. It's the reason why most of the groups are complemented from few or many moral characters, usually newcomers, who want to prove themselves in one or two immoral / parasitic ones. It's always a challenge, because if the person was brought to the immoral, he becomes to act on his own, and there is a real deficit of people who would comply all the time because of their fears. So, downward spiral, as you become slowly unable to think and more desperate, usually with the sad ending, similar to the one mentioned in number 2.2 / or a prison. You might be a parasite acting immoral, so acknowledge it. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 21. Keep to remember that you're in this game alone. Therefore, it doesn't matter who you're with relation to who or who is more important, that is mother, brother, owner of a bar or a criminal. It's between you and the source, only. You're expected to perform with a certain traits every time, and you're rewarded by doing so / severely punished. If not, below stories are just examples of situations involving moral drain of your energy / number 1.1. For instance, if a parasite 25 would attach into brawls, because of the single bulb light that is consuming energy for which he needs to pay, a non-important issue, the one which would cause your anger as an example. Keep calm, do the math. Count that 6 hours of lightning with the 60 watts light bulb costs pennies, not the amounts he presumes. Supply the explanations on paper. Always ask repeatedly for him to calm down and do it, in a polite and caring way. He would need to, if he would still want your energy, which prevails always. If it won't help, leave, tell the results, in one sentence, and put in front of him the calculations, all. Another example might involve releasing gas, by not closing it on the kitchen, after the completion of cooking, which might be repeated twice in a row, under the influence of alcohol. It would surely cause your deeper emotional reaction as you were to go sleep, and inhaling it all that night, the propane-butane mix might prove deadly. Keep again calm, close the kitchen, ventilate the whole apartment, and tell the parasite what he did wrong. Instruct him to pay for the damage. enforce morality and moral behavior. It's hard on the beginning, but after time it would become your second nature and an automated response. Emotional reactions, that is screaming, yelling or doing anything which doesn't resolve the problem in a calm, intelligent way, stripped out of emotions and such responses, involving the person. Would you like to be screamed at when you've done something wrong? Depletes you out of your moral, life, energy, and you're virtually donating it to the person who caused such reactions or was a victim of. They're called parasites, because they feed on you. Number 1.1. Think before you do. 25. For instance, your mother / anyone else, relations, it doesn't matter / parasite is a parasite in this game. 26. You might wonder why to talk with parasites or meet with such people and allow them to your circle, but it plays a more psychological role, imprints in you, so they would get to know that you became the less likely target for any attack, for example, as others might be pointed to you by them. Implement now and follow forever. If you would show weakness once, it's the end for you. It's very hard to break the influence if such mistake has been done in the past. However, it's entirely possible through the employment of the below tactics. Avoid to meet or associate with those who are parasitic entirely. If they've met you, say that you need to go and leave. Avoid to engage. You're in a hurry and must go. Fear is their only weapon, usually, so avoid to show it in any way or form, even use a diaper if required. It's essential for you to break it completely. See that those people are harmless, despite it might be hard to believe for you initially, as muscles and past mean nothing. It needs to be a gradual change until the appropriate time passes and the last won't be dealt. Usually the most immoral would leave your area. Stay still when cornered. Stay to the very end. Nobody would touch you if you won't show the dread. Even if so, you would be with very little or no harm at all. But the only thing which matters is that you've stood and faced them, never to provoke. Prove you've changed, as it would be the test for you to pass. Next stage would be to gradually show your new properties. Explain, if met on for example street or other, what happened, that is you've worked on something / your grandparent died. Must be verifiable truth. You're only allowed to say it ever. If you've made a mistake in the past, admit to it, but if you didn't, repeat that you would do the same if it would happen today. Avoid to however associate any more with those people, ever. They're the closed. Chapter 26. Third phrase is to avoid any contacts or associations with them, completely and forever. Block their phones numbers or change yours. Disallow yourself to speak with them. Morality is what counts. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 22. Pay attention when somebody aims at extracting energy from you. You're required to self-develop yourself to a point where parasites would fear your presence due to the possible repercussions. They would be sucked out of moral energy by you when you would mirror their moves, would prove yourself a more taut opponent than your enemy. You can only engage if attacked or affected by their actions, that is in relation to your goal or goals / number 2 only. Those are basically reactions, who would be followed by a common sense if the fear / any emotions, that is hatred, revenge, would be stripped absolutely. Usually most of people / you A predominantly react emotionally, which causes your transfer of moral energy towards the parasite, or B don't take any action at all, commonly also highly punished / the worst, or C take an immoral one, which is even far more punishable. Loss of moral energy is greater. Know when you experience all-time moral energy through the state of your being, the way how you feel. When you perpetrate an immoral action that is screaming on somebody who shouldn't supposed to get such treatment / an emotional reaction of yours, you might feel as something inside you has been permanently lost / dropped forever. A similar event might be experienced the other way, when a parasite attaches to your conscience, that is by causing you to feel a sense of shame, guilt or any other emotion which shouldn't be by you experienced, due to your trust in his lies or by being used. The drain begins, it's felt immensely on the higher states of the soul, that is adoration plus, but can be also experienced at the lower ones. You're required to focus on this energy deep within and use it as a guide. Implement. Now. And follow. Forever. Avoid to be ever dreaded by any immoral attack. 1. Pause. Usually for 3 seconds or more, as it's enough to stop your emotional responses. They would appear, but your role is to conceive them and act as an intelligent being. Pause always automatically. 2. Think and assess your situation / remove immediately any dangers. Is there something which needs to be handled immediately? Keep calm. Remove / deal with any imminent dangers. 3. Deal with the person and do it now in a moral manner. Your defense must be successful and effective / that is particularly the last. A. Instruct the person who did wrong, took those harming or interfering actions. Ensure that he knows what he did wrong and would abandon repeating it again. Explain more profoundly, if it's needed and expected truly by the person. B. If the harm has been done purposely and / sure it's required, make sure he would be liable for the damaged property, ask for the payment, refund, and expect an apology. Take an appropriate action, if required, that is grabbing him and removing from the premise, etc. Forbidden is, however, to pass beyond the point of means absolutely necessary to remove the danger or progress to more than continuing to work on your goal requires / number 2. Yet also to resolve over any immoral actions like name-calling, provocation, etc. You shouldn't say also more than it's necessary, you would know the limit. Moral defense involves using steps and methods which are suited for the type of attack performed. For instance, if somebody has name-called you, you're not allowed to, for example, kill him or even beat, yet you're required to use a verbal defense solely, which resembles methods used in the attack, or just to ignore as you're able to accomplish your goals / number 2, to deal with it. Ask always your conscience, if only unsure if the item or method of defense is available to you at the time. / it's all goal related / number 2. Learn it. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 23. Your reactions can't be emotional and you must react only in a moral manner. If solely attacked or affected / moral equals firm, confident, thoughtful, that is best for everyone, including firstly, you, your self-interest. To be reminded, you're in this game alone. It's only between you and the source / where you receive your moral energy from / number 1.1. Therefore, you should always view it from the perspective of self. Your reactions should always follow, up to the level of requirement, to deal with the threat / danger, immediately, so you would be able to work on the goals you took in the process. Number 2, you would understand it fully later, when you would progress with the content. Next, when you encounter anyone who would employ such tactics, be more conscious to what you're doing upon yourself, because by responding with what he intends, you're losing by it your happiness. Deal with it the right way, from the very beginning. It's important to learn it, because moral energy is your longevity, quality and fullness of life. If you're constantly drained from it, the last is of low value. You're required obligatorily to learn how to successfully and effectively win those battles, and as a side effect, increase your level of it in each and every account, because it's the most important thing after the survival means in this reality / number 1.1. Stop until such responses would become your second nature. It's of the highest importance. Proceed only when attained / preliminarily. Apply and follow forever. Your attacks back should be responsive. Never get into any discussion or fights with any of the parasites. Quickly and nicely handle them. It's more than just enough to mind something and leave, to use your energies in a more productive way / number 2. Mirror always best their moves. For instance, if they say to you, "You're stupid," reply something alike, "You're well," speaking of yourself, and follow it. Whenever they take the thread that is "you are," who, you Yes, you are, and repeat it all the time, etc. Basically, you cut them off by mirroring, so they're unable to fight and leave, something which is very annoying and leads to a frustration. Their emotional reaction is your gain. Keep smiling, by the way, when doing so / show you're not affected. You can't ever enable anyone to influence you or to treat in any bad way. It's required for you to let the enemy know that with you, it won't be easy from the very beginning, and if he decides to, he would get severe losses. Moral energy. Physicality is rarely involved. Require proofs and evidence. Check all, especially if the person is parasitic in nature / if it's required for your goals / number 2. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 24. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 25. 1.11x. Understanding this realm. It's a very important knowledge. On the beginning, it was suspended an infinite droplet of counter matter which had only 2 properties, motion and intelligence. Through a continuous movement which took more than half an eternity, a self-conscious programs developed. The one which seized all the others is called God, UI/universal intelligence, and he gained monopoly over his realm. After getting to know what has been possible to be known about his surrounding and the nature of counter matter, he faced a burning need to expand his knowledge, to have an advantage over the risk of being annihilated by other programs / which might be possibly created beyond his realm or be unknown. It also served the purpose to get to know himself better, and it allowed his further development. Knowing to not create any competition in his realm, he perpetuated the creation of physical 27 world. 27 The reality you currently live in. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 26. Through trial and error a plan was devised and effects achieved, which allowed to be the most effective in realization of this goal. A dipolar gravity realm was created, which implicates that everything which exists is present in the 2 parallel worlds at one time. The substance from our physical world is characterized by mass, inertia, friction and lack of intelligence / the one existing in the counter matter has the inverse features, is weightless, self-mobile, super slippery and possesses a natural intelligence that is capable of thinking in its natural state, where the lines of gravity force converge to one border point, to disappear from our world through some sort of unseen barrier to show up in a separate from ours parallel world. Tapping to this force gives an immense power. It's a knowledge about the nature of matter. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 27. More precisely, it's a dynamic system of expansion and contraction, bound by its own equilibrium, creating infinite potential within a finite boundary. All set into motion by a central black hole which by force of torque creates a 2 equal and opposite polarized magnetic fields, positive, negative. Atoms 28 are not pushed together, but rather pulled together by the negative contractant force of subatomic black holes, which is why protons, positive, are attracted to center and electrons, negative, are repelled outward. The resulting convergence of 2 opposite polar charges creates smaller fields of equilibrium known as neutron particles. The convergence of 3 separate planes creates the perception of a 3-dimensional reality. 28 atoms are and represent those ultra-tiny, unseen to the naked eye, little building blocks from which everything in this reality is built from, including you. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 28. Entities were created to help to unravel the unknown from the black vastness of knowledge. They were allowed to use the counter matter to think for themselves, similarly as God, but being bound to reality which was created. However, the purpose for creation resulted from the requirement for survival, so an additional plan was brought into this reality. Implications of it are vast and allow to explain all that is. Realm of ours is not the only one. God is not alone, however we populate his world. He is not perfect, he doesn't knows everything, and it's not about being good or evil for the people. Understand that. It's all 29 about the purpose. 29 it's only about the purpose / to be more precise. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 29. If either realm meant as ours, it would mean an immediate war. Countermatter forces such pressure on the self-conscious programs which developed in it, God, to cause the development and to win those battles or to be annihilated and perish forever / that is imagine blackness or nothing. Therefore, to meet the demands and ensure his survival, an additional plan was introduced to create also a very varied, versatile and unique gods which were prepared to deal with the danger on their own. Think about it. A species procreates to cause the combinations of his many genes, so if a virus / bacteria would penetrate the defenses, it would kill only a part of the whole species, organism, as there would be certain units, parts, who are resistant to it. The same is with the plan. The thing is, that when those two worlds collide, the fight would be perpetrated very probably on the enemy's grounds, so there would be no protective 30 arm of God with perhaps only access to the counter matter. It's possible that such fight takes already place, somewhere in the universe. The current version of this reality features a software reversible 31 time 30 laws, set by him in this reality / that is in the form of 31. It's forever required for you to understand that you're living in his realm. Therefore you're obliged to act in a way consistent with the rules set. Number 1 / if not, you absurdly suffer to be destroyed as a soul if you won't met the criteria / number 4.49, ending. It can be compared to living in somebody's home where rules have to be met in order to stay alive. Adapt / number 2, or die. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 30. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 31. You're in this game alone, although cooperation of others is vital to your survival. It's only between you and the source. A varieties of souls 32 have been created and are residing in the register, the virtual world, with experiences and attained knowledge 33 imprinted in them. Physical 34 world is merely a testing ground for the preparation of those gods and expansion of the existing knowledge. It's nothing more. Settings of this world reflect the gods' intents. It must resemble on one hand properties of the survival, deeply embedded into it, but the last usually didn't realizes the purpose of knowledge increase, so morality is imposed. Creatures populating it must also have a free will, so they would be enabled to use the counter matter for themselves, to learn the ability of thinking, where, on the last characteristic, an immense pressure is placed. Besides, certain actions need to be rewarded, with some heavily punished. It creates an array of problems, troubles and issues which need to be self-imposed. Furthermore, God's presence needs to be hidden because religious people - God would give to them / God help, which is a waste. To serve the purpose and to realize the plan. You were created maximally imperfect, because usually only stupid and dumb create a variety of problems, and the most mistakes, which serves the need for development, brings new knowledge at best. However, it couldn't be below the level of anarchy, because it won't bring much development at all, as most wouldn't be able to realize the goals of creation. To suit it best, genders were introduced, where a man was created slightly above the level of anarchy and woman, as a very important motivator for the first, even below it. Therefore a woman needs upbringing, by a strong man which she deeply desires. Number 4.1. Those who do not possess confidence / number 2.1, is the primary requirement for their development, intelligence and success, are typically exploited by the last, that use those weaknesses. The perfect and knowledgeable use and apply their understanding and skill to the tasks, which brings little or no new knowledge contribution, as there is no need or way for improvement, usually. Everyone is born plain stupid and imperfect. He needs to work his way up and conquer his limitations, for example comfort zone, habits, etc. Using the inverse rule to prepare you. Character and desired abilities are shaped through adversity and hardship. If it's good, there is no reason for change. The last forces you primarily to increase and seek for the new knowledge, to solve your constant problems and threats, which serves the higher purpose. Therefore, it's vital to know that there would always be the next step in the way, where you would be obligated to handle it and which might be bothering only to you. For instance, if your desire is to become a millionaire, you'd be faced with poverty. For example, in the childhood, even the very rich, they've got problems and issues, way beyond what's known to those who have financially little, as they're constantly faced with the imminent threats, financial loss, bankruptcy, competition, money allocation, investing risks, etc. Enforcing survival of the fittest, promoting immorality, however silently rewarding only the moral. This double dealings can be only understood if you would see it from the bigger picture. You need to be prepared, fight for yourself to become a hardened soldier in the process. Number 2 and life, although without attacking and destroying others who might not have stood the chance to grow or reach a certain level of skill. In the battle for life and death, which is to come, it's an obligatory requirement. 32. If a person or an animal dies, it loses immediately after, about couple 100 grams in weight. It can't be explained by any other conventional or physical means. Soul escapes through the pineal gland from the body which it previously incarnated. 33. You're born with a certain talents. Those are virtually skills and knowledge, which you've attained through persistent work and experience though previous incarnations. It's also extended to knowing certain things and being sure of them, possibly being trouble to explain. All always passes to the next reincarnation, but might be blocked to a certain point on purpose, a very rare occurrence. Usually something is introduced, like for example sickness in the early age, which has a task to limit those abilities. 34. The world you live in now. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 32. Saving those evil, engaged in immoral activities people from the death/rescuing you. Knowledge, in order to be attained fully, needs to be followed from the both sides. It's never enough to read or have an education about anything from the books or from those who even did it. To become an expert in the field, one has to acquire the knowledge in practice, by committing those actions. Your value is judged by the ability to learn on your mistakes/which is following of the immoral. Besides, it allows you to gain more wisdom/up to a point. Number 1.12 and from the purpose, it's the most valuable. Passing the line of the highest learning effect, also known as the path of highest terror/resistance associated with taking the initiatives, paying back the karma/number 1.2, which also is brought when such the best learning effect takes a place/or any progress. A persistent effort, with high quality work and decent, high motivations, is required to establish and gain anything/usually 10,000 hours or more. It does not also imply that the counter matter is controlled along the intents, but your thoughts are too, the quality, progress and understanding you've reached at a given time and ability to do more. Promotion of untruths, funny soapy experts for instance, for example in television or other media, who promote falsehood and knowledge which is useless and not even reaching any far beyond anything. It's all to cause you to search and think for yourself. Those people are often taking high positions and are marked as an expert, having quite an influence of spreading the harm, blocking the development or not doing anything. Truth is being punished, and all the untruths are promoted. That is relativity theory, expanding cosmos, evolution from an ape etc. It won't be even touched. It's to promote the soldiers, who are created to avoid listening to anyone and to think for yourself. As your enemy would strive to put a fear in you, decrease morale or get you into various thinking traps etc. Exerting distorted truth. Everything is being changed or modified, so the original meaning isn't preserved, which changes the whole message. It forces you to rethink, everything, all again. Even this work might be distorted in the future, if the text in its original form won't be preserved/spread. Nothing is immune to it. It serves the same purpose, but with the very important notice, your holy books are not guide written in a stone, as when the time passed, even if they were accurate, they were distorted by the laws. It forces you to constantly question all, even if your commands were given from the top. Promotion and subjective rewarding of the immoral characters. Your friend or somebody who you know went on the dark side. You received a huge support, financial bonuses and all from the devil as most would perceive. Why you, too, wouldn't take them, if it's only your signature. If your enemy is able to buy you with favors or a wealth given, you're unworthy. It's the end, for you. You won't get to the kingdom, as if you were participate in a war of the universes, being easily attracted to the material. You would betray your own kind, leaving yourself and others who supported you, weakened, and risking losing all that is. It's a commonly known knowledge that such traits cannot be promoted and are not desired. Temptations are always great, but those people are always punished in the end, because they're mainly not needed after all. Their work is either temporary/all is lost by them. Life. The Jealous God puzzle. It's exploited by the occult, where certain entities were granted power in order to get humans worshipping them. For instance, they might solve all your problems, change the thoughts of your boss/creditors/co-workers/loved ones, etc. You can get the winning bets, get all the other benefits you're seeking for, usually for the exchange of some kind. If it's not fulfilled, it's like a death sentence, or we collapse. The majority, however, worships entities, unknowingly, who give them nothing/it won't and can't be even touched. Nothing more can be added. If you would be blinded by the benefits and betray your master, going on the enemy side, you're unworthy. You can't serve two masters, only and forever one, from the very good reasons. Thinking is required in every step. If you've accepted a falsehood and keep it long-term as a truth, without questioning or sensing something wrong, you're not an intelligent being, who thinks for himself and doesn't goes with the crowd. Your value is not much more of a cattle who gets stranded/slaughtered. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 33. Various simulations introduced to this reality to confirm it's an illusion. For example, by placing a temporary blood-bone people in your reality, solely controlled by the God laws set by him and soulless, tapping into your subconscious and causing you to release that is your hand, to cause 35 a certain action or be brought to them, by controlling your thoughts through the mechanisms guiding the wisdom and understanding, also by not allowing you to pick a certain ideas too quickly, before you haven't worked the previous fully, but also happening of the miracles in your life, which can confirm that this reality is highly controlled and a grand illusion with a higher purpose. It might give you at least a partial answer why this world isn't as you were hoping for, and your life might look not as you wish, yet why you're constantly pushed into something where you would like to rest or take a break, harassed and all the various left. It might be easier to accept and face it than to run away, because if so is done/number 2, you would get 36 the time for yourself on the end of each stage. In order for you to become God, which is a hardened soldier able to stand up for the protection of his world, you need to attain certain characteristics, skills, experience and primarily learn the ability to think. It's commonly accepted, as for example, you won't know on how to do certain things, like for example create a multi-billion-dollar business from the scratch or many other highly skillful tasks. On this basis, you're placed through various lives into bodies, life ages and situations which have a goal to prepare you and to serve the best, the purpose. Those who know and follow, flourish, despite the pain involved. Those who don't, suffer. To understand your reality, you need to know the intents of your master or masters. Without it, it's futile. In this realm you can do whatever you want, but laws would apply to you as well. It's very easier to play a game when you know the rules of what's being rewarded and what's desired to win in it. Apply it then to your principles and everyday acting. As you might have already concluded from the text, those souls, which do not met the standards or constantly fail to improve, are destroyed, eternally. It means the end of you, forever. Those who would pass the tests thrown at them and would prove their value in the face of God by their actions, willingness to change and the usage of their intelligence, would become gods, which would gain immortality. Number 2. You're prepared for your whole lifetimes to become one, but only from you lies the answer whether you would succeed or fail. The most versatile the best prepared would stand 37 for this reality, in the case of imminent danger. The rest, who didn't achieve the desired traits, level of knowledge, skill and thinking abilities through the systems applied in this reality, would be erased at his permanent ending of your existence, in the period when the time 38 comes, War of Realms. 35 Essential to know is that experts are merely those who committed/perpetuated all the mistakes as it prepares you for the achievement, as required by the laws/or was learned before being the highest understanding. 36 Either have it in the periods of relax, in order to further the realization of the tasks given. Number 2. 37 If our universe would be annihilated, because preparation of the whole would be insufficient, that is as it might happen. It's likely that those the best will be embedded into the reality of the enemy to serve his needs. It means you would survive, even if the whole collapses. 38 Number 4.49, see ending for more. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 34. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 35. 1.11 XF. Inner desires of the soul is the sole purpose of it all, which leads to the increase of micro. Imagine that you run a shop. A pack of thieves visits you regularly to steal from you, for you to be left on the end of month with inventory barely to go by. It's what's done basically by you. If you didn't learn and applied the previous chapter, you shouldn't perceive parasites as threat, but rather 39 as a food opportunity to take. Same. When the thief from your shop is running away, dropping his equipment like torch, crowbar, balaclava, they're yours to take as to prevent him from the future immoral activity/jobs. Defense against parasite attacks drains them from moral energy and you gain it, if their offensive was unsuccessful. It takes time to master and watch yourself. Moral energy represents your life. If you're allowing any parasite to rob yourself from it, you're losing your happiness and future, basically. Any perspective for further development on the spiritual level, which brings a significant change in your way of living, that is expansion of the shop, increase of earnings, a path to financial freedom. Learn how to protect your level of energy first. In order for you to survive/live in this realm, you're forced to generate moral 40 energy for yourself. It can be done the easy way or the hard way, through work/job. Draining it from others might be a solution, but it's dangerous, and even the very best would soon drop below, as nobody can sustain himself only from living the life of a parasite. Most, however, don't know the easy way, so they're initially forced to work in their daily jobs. This document is about bringing this knowledge, usage of which gives you the very best chance to change your situation, by allowing to know how to earn this energy. The easiest and the most appealing for you way possible, being itself alone, the pleasurable 41 way, through work, which isn't really a work/to work, but to not work yourself and earn countless micro. Number 1.1 in the money. Look at the table on next pages and pinpoint where you are, at the present moment of life. 39 Your task is to start to love it. It would be possible when you learn on how to extract them effectively in every defense attack/ that is when you completely cease to fear and improve your skill at touching the sensitive to them/ number 1.11x. 40 life energy / called in other terms, interpreted directly as it is. 41 however, not initially, when the deficits of your knowledge, skill and understanding are immense / that is qualities. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 36. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 37. Reactive, proactive. Immoral. Moral. Characteristics. No goal. 42 in life, you react to the visible or what enters your reality, to the events, circumstances. They're waiting of the soul. You've been already in such state or you'd be in the way of your life. You might be in it, currently. You've got a goal in life and invest into its realization, but the last is immoral. For example, selling drugs, thievery, speculative play on stock market. 43 or gambling. You've got a purposeful goal set in life, to which realization you 44 strive. Option 1. The task 45 is not set accordingly to the inner desires of your soul. For example, set out of fear of failure in life / the need to do something. 46. Option 2. You're going along the inner drives of your soul / that is the only soul option, which makes you invincible. Typically, you've got a steady job, stability, but you lack something in life. The last might be empty and may lead to a depression. You've established a business, as it's mainly associated with profit, or a partnership venture, but the increasing amount of problems and impossibility to deal with them, that slowly but steadily arise, creates an influx of pain, drug usage and erratic behavior due the very reason of the immoral activity. It's attached with / profits may be staggering. It progresses with a drop of moral field, number 0.1, and leads to suffering, in the end. You may or might not have money, but you tend to always have or find the resources needed. As similarly with the true, proactive immoral, you've got a sense in life, for which you strive, that is to do and be / become the best in. You feel that you live with an ever-increasing sense of mission and purpose, where you invest all of you in the process. Option 1. You'd very fast run yourself out, as when the motivations are lower in the worst / later terms, typically after launching a venture, idea or a particular work, you would quit or leave it. 42. It has to be a long-term goal, clearly specified, that is a particular sum of money. Opening a business with X and you have to strive for its realization through an active effort / not get yourself high for today or send a lottery ticket. Number 4.3. Either opening a business or wants which are never realized proactively. 43. The last might be a part of your reactive life, but the thought process and effort dictates where it really is placed. 44. It's required to just start the process / number 2 at the very beginning of journey by being open to new ideas, possibilities, responsive to thoughts which you execute immediately. 45. An example. You're opening a courier / moving / shipments country to country company because you've seen, spotted, heard, felt that others succeeded at it making money, but you do it for the cash solely and predominantly, not for the purpose that is commonly not liking it / not set accordingly to the inner desires of your soul. Its only distinction is in the mind. You actively develop yourself in those tasks, proactive moral. Where that is in job, you just do it. To get paid, not being engaged in it at the conscious level / at 100%, just to do your work, to get by / that is the reactive state. 46. It might be a reactive state, in certain instances. Also can be set, solely from the fear of loss. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 38. Option 2. You're happy, but steadily do the extra mile when it's needed, as motivations are internal and not external, like in the previous, first option and thereof. Nothing can influence or destroy them, until such decision is made by you, on the conscious level. All is lost, virtually. Prison, psychiatric hospital, all the unimaginable consequences of those actions, need to be experienced back, by you who made them or where you've had a part in creating, upon others. If you're not killed due to the harm caused, Recovery, if possible, usually lasts very long, similarly as the effects of the enterprise which took a toll on you and everyone attached, which last years to a lifetime. 50% of the wealth that came from any of the immoral actions basically vaporizes, and the remaining half is lost nearly all, without much purpose. You, who passed this way, would ever engage willingly in it once again and would want to repeat the process, to be done by you only, out of perceived necessity. If asked, would you do it, if you only knew about the consequences before, you will reply that it would be the last of what you would possibly do, despite the false/immediate benefits involved. You suffer, but it's irrelevant, because it's not about it. You're focused on learning how to do, in order to get. You understand that those are only temporary circumstances, needed in order for them to become fully prepared, and you will fully accept those as a part of the learning curve. It might be associated with living in the worst conditions, a great personal cost of pain and private 47 humiliation, vast amounts of obstacles to conquer, lots of thinking and all the plagues imaginable, but you just know that on the end of this road is a light, and when you would pass it, your life would be great, as a result of all those experiences which are not there to destroy you, but to enforce learning in a most suitable and the best way possible. 47 mostly to be experienced from people who do nothing in their lives. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 39. Perceived benefits. Moderate, average or beyond the average pay, dependent on the job and or level of your education skill. Higher and extreme, nearly instant pay, referred commonly to as easy money, instantaneous. Option 1, hard work that would probably give an effect, being perceived commonly as a track that could end without any pay only few luckily succeed, as many have failed 48 miserably. In reality, when you, without the knowledge, want to try something new, commonly with low plan and as you want to do it right, the first time, without the much needed preparation, that is experience number 2, which is painful and a learning process from the experience, it's a recipe for failure. You've quit before the end of the process number 2, on the first problem obstacle your first unsuccessful venture, not reaching preparedness to handle the challenges. It only validates the need for the process number 2 and obligatory preparation, who everyone successful self-made has passed. Option 2, 49, none. The truth. Easy work that would give an effect after X years, absolutely 50 guaranteed. Consequences. By not engaging into any purposeful action, proactive moral or proactive immoral, you have, what is, an average for the many. It leads to lack of sense in it all and may lead to a suicide, preceded by depression. Life seemed to be good, but only on the beginning. After time, you need to pay the price, in full. Consequences would come after a certain delay. You win in your life and get eventually for what you strive for, independent of what it is if you only persevere. 48 You've took a credit and are forced to repay it as the business failed, as you had no knowledge over it. It wasn't set accordingly to the inner desires of the soul and you've lacked steam to continue, or it didn't just work out as planned. Commonly you resign, counting on luck in those ventures maybe it would be it everyone starts this way number 2. You, who persists this track, will finally hit your inner motivations of the soul. Option 2 number 4.43, for more. 49 You lack the knowledge about the process number 2 or would ever be sure to it, as it has to be earned through effort. 50 By the laws, number 1.11 operating in this reality which realize the purpose of creation, that is God intended for you. It's the highest guarantee you can get in this realm it's 100% sure, absolute, if you only deliver. It's a law. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 40. Even if your pay would be great and it would be enough for everything, the sense of it happiness would be lost. Life of a misery, At certain point, problems would come that might push you towards proactive acting. Option 1. You might use those experiences, but until you weren't established the works based on your inner drives of the soul, you would try, do and wear yourself off, to every last undertaking you take. When you persevere this track, you will finally hit your inner motivations of the soul. Option 2. Option 2. You've got in time, all the happiness, joy, fulfillment, money and all what is desired in full, without no conditions attached. You refer yourself as the happiest person alive. That lives the dream. You're the true winner, who achieved the desired, due to suffering you've willfully accepted, usually in your youth, midterm and even in your late years, but who enforced and embraced change and was also willing to take risks. You win, are happy and have all, due to work you've invested in the process. Number 2. Summing up. Suffering is only present for the first 5 up to 7 years, at max, and after this period, when all has been acquired, it turns into a living dream, due to those lessons past, that could be only truly possible as such. It's absolutely guaranteed. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 41. As the only viable / worthy approach, presented in this work. Notices. Certain you, due to the lack of knowledge and therefore deficit of possibilities, is resistant to change, but your life has a tendency to spiral. It's not as you might dream of, but you do what can be done in your sphere of comfort or influence. Such stance leads to tensions, powerlessness, disease and suffering / general unhappiness that may last even for a lifetime. You're often pushed to a certain actions, but due to your beliefs, you're never happy or can handle with them in the long term, which leads to all sorts of problems that have a reason to preoccupy you and force to proactively act. If the tracks aren't stopped at the right moment, usually you die or are killed due to pursuing of the false money / wealth. Eventually you end up in a 51 prison, for what seems like a lifetime or is the last, with the need to pay back the damage caused. In option 2, the process / number 2 is only hard on the beginning, when you're new to it. Later, despite all, you feel like you're living and are virtually stripped out of all that might influence the learning process / leaving you maybe a little bit destroyed, but happy and with the understanding, richer in new knowledge, that would prove priceless in changing your life. In perspective, without it, impossible would be to achieve what those prosperous did or to get and reach what those who persevered it have got currently. The successful, wealthy and fortunate. Number 0.1, being completely thankful for all that you were fortunate to experience. If you're reactive, work in your day job only to get paid without the will to develop yourself fully in it, not acting purposefully after, disasters would strike, problems would arise, where their hidden goal would be to force you, for a purposeful acting and development. If you're involved in an immoral activity, see the next chapter for examples. You get the money first, are unable to experience life at full, but the things would get sour very quickly, you'd get caught, be imprisoned etc. But if you decide to quit, repair the damage done, you would be saved, avoiding even prison. If the change would be significant, see the next chapter. However, the karma would need to be repaid back, fully, suffering caused by you, to be experienced by you, on your person / number 1.2. If you're on a proactive moral track, where goals are not set with the inner desires, nothing would be gained from it, except experience, wearing yourself all, probably being as a warning for the others to avoid this path. That is, you would get into a debt that would need to be repaid and probably resign, being highly discouraged. However, if you decide to take the path of the inner desires of soul, there, path of power / number 2, what you truly feel, believe in, what motivates you, what is appealing to you, because you're highly motivated to perform the work, not being worn after performing it, could do it the whole day straight, as it doesn't drains you, but gives power etc. When you would pass the sour years, you would become the best of the best and gain all for what you strive in life. All of the paths have their ups and downs, but the only worthy is proactive moral, set with the inner desires of soul. It's the best, finest, brings all, despite the initial pain involved, which is merely a result of your complete lack of knowledge, preparedness. The process would learn you that, totally. Your purposeful effort is required. You're brought to this reality with a fate that is the inner desires of soul, and if you decide to realize it consciously and do the best of you, what is expected, rewards are awaiting already / but if choose not to or slip on the immoral track, which might occur in the process, you would be severely punished, which might even last a lifetime. 51 The process / number 2 is basically your prison time, if you only follow it, winning / instead of proactive immoral path. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 42. Not set accordingly to the inner desires of soul. Set accordingly to the inner desires of soul, FATE. Goal. Pain / cheating yourself. 52. You don't like the job, you're doing it because you must / that is hate, painfulness, but also emptiness, depression and all the other associated with a low amount of moral energy, micro, resulting from the poor work performed. Pain and uncertainty first, then, when the lessons are passed and a certain level attained, love. Typically done to pass by or to have a living. 53. It's like going to a hell and every day is such. Today's concentration camps or work labors. You just do them, because you do them. No effort is felt as in any case of other job. Love comes later, but it's first required to pass a certain mark and you can't find another way of living beyond it. You do, because you want, as it gives you drive to wake up every day, striving always for more. 54. They don't wear you in any sense. Work to not work, but to have all, the money, woman, happiness and fulfillment / which can be such summarized as issues. Takes a job agency / contacts or work and probably many disappointments to find any, takes effort to perform and pays off immediately. 55. If employers / mediators are moral enough. Takes time and effort to get on the track. Takes time and persistent effort to pass and takes time to perfect, usually 5 to 7 year period. Consequences. Leads usually to nowhere, if no goal behind is attached. Could be laid off in any moment, also due to lack of work. Uncertainty might be present. Leads to achievement in every sense of this word and brings all the desired, the best life possible for you, with the effects dependent on your efforts to pursue and act along those drives. If you decide to pursue the tasks which involve inner desires of the soul, you always have the steam to continue the work given. Without it, you wouldn't last much as you've been created for a special purpose. Know, however, that it's not always that you do what you like or love. 52 That is convincing self, that everyone needs to work / if not this job, so what ? Coming to a conclusion, that is not so bad but in fact, the truth, is never far away. 53 Either from the approach, something has to be done in life / that is to work, to have the money. 54 Which might seem impossible or unimaginable for some, but it's how the things are for those who follow them. In the process / number 2. Yes, work is a pleasure but that you just one, is sharing it with others, which gives you a sense of fulfillment and power. You would one day understand it, possibly. 55 Taking into an account daily / weekly or monthly payments, with an option to get the deposit earlier. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 43. It might be the most of the work, but you're destined to do what is required to be done, at the time it has to be done. You might not known it to this point, but you've got certainly tasks which you love to do, without the need to be asked for, and you do them fully willingly. Is it drinking vodka / playing your anticipated game / having sex with a beautiful woman / find it? If you're going along the inner desires of soul, your work is such a willing fullness, but it's even easier as for instance, drinking might involve going to a shop 100 meters/328 feet away, which might be very draining. In inner desires of the soul, it doesn't cost you in the sense that it's appealing to you and you could do it virtually infinitely, forever. Imagine now what could be achieved by you if you only were to follow those created for you paths. Would be sufficient enough to earn by you a 100M mark and get the most beautiful partner and be happy/nirvana, number 1.1 for life. All doing what you love, not being in any way tired of doing it, performing it from your own will, not by must or from a necessity. It might be impossible for you now, but it is entirely possible for you as directly as it sounds. Accept it. You only need to know how and have the courage to just start the process. Number 2. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 44. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 45. If you're realizing your fate, you know it, because you feel great in the process. If you were not even to be paid by doing your job, you would still continue it, because of the pleasure, satisfaction it gives to you. E equals Fs plus sigma eta, micro/micro r FRSR. It's an equation for happiness. However, also for all the other searched values it brings, easily could be referred to as the most important equation in the world. This realm. Energy, E, is equal to the output of strength of feelings, F, multiplied by the motivations, S, invested in the performed work, being dependent of the observers. It's a sum, sigma, of receiver feelings, FR, multiplied by his motivations, SR, which are caused in any of the receivers, multiplied by the efficiency factor, eta, of the telepathic exchange of thoughts between you and the last, multiplied by coefficiency, micro r, of moral compatibility between you, micro, and the receivers, micro r. Explanation of the equation. It might seem complicated, but it's really not. Increase in the moral energy is associated with having the highest motivations, S. Those are only to be found by following your fate, with which you were brought to this reality. Everyone has it, but not everybody goes after it. Those are merely types of jobs, for which you've been created for, to suit them best, and nobody without such inner desires of the soul can't even match your abilities to perform on such level possible for you. It provides you the drive, because motivations aren't external, but internal, lie deep within you. When you follow them, time disappears, maximum of the moral energy can be generated. Strength of feelings, F, is the amount of physical pain, tiredness, etc. and engagement of emotions particular job involves. Those are typically feelings known as the negative side of the emotions, unpleasant, because those positive, that is satisfaction, are felt when the moral energy is released, in time of rest, relax. The last is compressed/generated when you invest your wits and perform the highly moral job. It's typically known that physical work is capable to provide about 5 times more moral energy than a mental work, due to amount of feelings attached. Your amount of moral energy generated is also dependent on the observers. If you, for instance, do a particular job to just show up yourself, accept lower motivations which would result from it. Those who watch your efforts might spoil your amount of the moral energy generated due to emotions felt, that is jealousy/hatred. The last is being dependent on the strength of emotions felt, FR, and motivation of the observer, SR, to punish you, where the coefficiency factor might be affected by the, for example, distance from which you have seen from, eta. Either parasites or people who feel towards you, for example antipathy/reluctance, your work for them, might cause loss of your moral energy. The same is observed where you're wanting to help those who don't want it / that is your enemies. Therefore, an additional effort in thinking is required to even mind for who this work / help is to be supplied. Those who highly want, desire, welcome it and hold a sufficient moral energy level, micro r, to appreciate, are your usual target group. Interpretation of the equation in your daily life. It has got many repercussions in everyday use. It's best surely to do works who benefit you/others directly in an anonymous way, where there are no observers. Therefore, if you're building, for example, a body mass, number 4.2, it's best for you to train possibly alone, yet only if acquired the required skill and experience to do it safely, as the increase of moral energy would be the greatest, along with your motivations and focus to perform the job. Moreover, it brings many more advantages, as your attention is entirely focused on your muscles, not being distracted by any of the talk with anyone/by anyone, etc. Not to help those who don't require help/not anticipate it and aren't truly thankful for it. Refuse it to any of the parasites who only wait to drain you. Number 1.1. Not get with any of your jobs in places/force it to people where you're not welcomed. Highly moral, altruistic 56. Anonymous work, typically of whose efforts invested nobody sees, is rewarded the most. Work aligned to the inner desires of soul/fate is what's rewarding, and sharing it with others. It leads to fulfillment and all the desired in life. It's a personal belief wisdom that is understanding of the author that nirvana and the knowledge on how to attain it is the ever-searched holy 57 grail. It's not an object, as wrongly referred to, but the highest kept information/in essence, revealed in this book. 56 where you get no personal benefits/do it voluntarily from your own goodwill, aimed at helping others. 57 being not the singularity device/the Ark of the Covenant/for you it would be too, if you experience it one day. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 46. If there is a reason why you haven't yet reached the dreamed success in life, it's only the one cause: you're not following your fate. Failure you, who wants to make it in life/when you avoid your fate. Achiever you, WHO already made it in life/or would make it/number 2. Reactive. Proactive moral. Primary object of interest/importance. You think, live and speak about everything, but not the goal itself. You've got no goal. You think, live and speak about the goal and do actions required to achieve it, which is the most important thing to you/its realization. In later terms, the last might be concealed, due to lack of people supporting it or the requirement for secrecy, but it's constantly on your thoughts. Main difference. You talk, but not do anything towards. You aren't able to force yourself to think and act purposely, either due to beliefs, escaping, choosing the easy ways, which all leads to parasitism and failure. Not taking the responsibility, control over life due to lack of discipline/other issues, yet also the fear to start, is the primary reason for not following the inner desires and attaching to the surrounding reality. You talk and do, or do without the talk. You think and do. Payment. You aren't able to work without a paycheck for extended amounts of time. You require payment, instantaneous. You're able to work without any payment, because you understand that earning the really desired money requires skill and knowledge, which is to be gained only through experience. You have the motivation for voluntary work, if it's purposeful and if possibly you can reap the benefits from it in future. Past experience. Usually slim to none, due to level of taking risk or limited to jobs where everyone can be hired or the low level of skill required to perform those tasks. You have got some experience due to works performed at your projects, either successful or not, towards the directions of your dreams. Mindset. You take steps to better your situation using the known or real, believable, realistic, for you, using the opportunities presented or acting based on an acquired already knowledge, rather short-term thinking. You work for the best outcome in each and every project or task taken/you handle, but if you fail, it's always accepted and of little importance, because you believe that due to the level of work invested, you finally would acquire required traits, experience, skill and knowledge, essential to be successful, long-term thinking. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 47. It's not required for you to know your motives/motivations of the soul as they're known by the laws, and activating the mechanism/number 2 would bring to you the work, where last would be aligned to it, as being the person to do this particular job. However, you can find them by asking the right questions, or you would just know if you invest efforts and would hold an appropriate 58 container. For instance, one's desires, 59 of the soul, might be that he is interested in all which is important, but there is always attached an additional, emotional reason for the striving. It may be to be high all the time. So, you've got the purpose and the real goal, for which the continual realization of your purpose brings you as a side effect. Similarly, as to the creation of this 60 reality/God's intents. It might appear that the area is wide, but if you would only take a look closer, it's not. Those are the key specific areas, which you've got only the desire to work and educate in. They only consist about 150 fundamental areas of specialization, where you're able to master each one of them on more than an expert level, in the period of your lifetime. Expecting to know what it means to be important, as for each one of us, it's different, might be an issue to anyone who is not holding them. Although, pattern of power arises, and it includes areas who might prove important in the future to further your own survival. Topic of business, money, resources, with all the important elements involved, health, knowledge of achievement, this reality, hidden laws, how to take advantage, etc. In short, basically the contents of this book. The drives are always there. Attaining knowledge, skill and mastering those abilities is relatively easy as you're highly motivated to continue the work, each and every single day. It doesn't cost you. Your life has got a purpose, sense and the deeper meaning. You're living a dream, in Nirvana/number 1.1 through work you're performing all time. Whether you would choose to follow your fate is up to you, but if you won't, you would be forced to, by an increasing amount of events which would unfold in your life to force you for your own development. If you would consciously follow them, your life would become worthy of living, pleasurable and meaningful / for which probably everyone strives. Money would follow as a result of your highly motivated work. Prepare for that. 58 Intention, in thought, to unravel or reach the desired, where you've attached to it, for a specific period of time. 59 Birth tarot cards, describe them in partial / look for the right, many interpretations. It has been confirmed that you can find them on your own, also through self-observation / to better understand yourself. 60 They're different for everyone. Emotional reasons for most might, for instance, include fucking beautiful women, and everyone has them. Not to necessarily to tell them anyone, but to know for self. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 48. Due to your high motivations, which are able to be achieved for works only following fate, you would increase drastically your moral energy levels, because now, work would become a pleasure to you. An initial 5 to 7 year mark is required to reach freedom, usually, including the financial one, in your areas of motivations. Take a look below. Characteristics of the moral / life field, number 1.1, micro. Micro greater than 0.6. Godlike state, the immense feeling 61 of power / love / happiness / belonging etc. 62 for disappearance of any negative traits of character / explosion of happiness / being protected and cared of by others, treated as the VIP without anything required by the moral members of a society, attraction and admiration of others, including irresistible drawing of sexual attraction of the opposite sex, opens a burst of unstoppable creativity and unlimited access to the counter matter in its completeness, full happiness, fulfillment and satisfaction of whatever you've got already, turning every experience / moment into the most pleasurable sensation ever, and many more also. Number 2.2, end. Plus you don't feel any pain, as it's masked by the overwhelming happiness. Micro greater than 0.35. Happiness, well-being, fulfillment and satisfaction. progressing with rise, predominantly moral, helpful behavior. By listening to this voice, you would only get the best what is for you possible. If you would listen to this voice only and allow it to enter your reality, the worst would happen. Hard work that pays off with a time delay usually lasts from few days and ranges up to 3, 5, 10 or more months. Immediate pay, usually no work/little to very little involved. Immediate pleasure, a very short lifespan of gratification, usually now, up to an hour, possibly a month or 3 but not more. Reverse. Associated with the loss of micro, creating bad karma, immoral, illegal and destructive behavior of action and thought. Is or might be less pervasive in choosing actions mentioned, but the last depends on the perspective and current circumstances. Choices like, learn, do the job given, go there, do that, might be boring, but you know it's right and those should be done. Choices like, as opposed to the left side, or, go to a party now, ignore this job, nobody would catch you, play the game, avoid to do anything, nobody is watching, get yourself time/life on pleasure, go fuck some chicks, spend more time playing as life is short and you need to live it maximally. 116 By choosing to realize the actions suggested or convinced to. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 70. Associated with achievement, fulfillment and success in life/including the financial one. In the end, leads to nirvana/number 1.1, closeness to the universal intellect. 117. Associated with moral degradation, prison, psychiatric hospital, mental institutions, failure in life, suffering, pain, lack of financial resources, emptiness, suicide thoughts and attempts. In the end, leads to death. His secretive role is to push you closer to the light, by showing you and allowing to experience the opposite side, therefore, enabling you to actually decide, due to choice you're given and the free will. If you listen to one of them, the latter has got a significant harder task to get to you, so if you follow your inner Satan, it's likely you would continue the streak of downward spiral for a delayed period of time, for example alcoholic/drug escapades, time of rest and destruction. They both work for your good but from a different angles. The first, listening to him, brings in long-term success and happiness but for the short-term pay. The second, if you listen to him, it brings short-term reward for the price of long-term failure. Light represent the godlike state, Satan, darkness, your nature. You must beat your inner Satan first, to get what's desired, associated with the inner will to take or to receive for self. 117 God. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 71. You're required to learn how to use the both voices, as they would work for your advantage, together. It's a challenge to resist the inner Satan at first, because he's very powerful. You should listen to both of the voices because, when they're consistent in working together, they lead to the expansion of knowledge, which is crucial. Know it, used to your advantage. The only real choice you would ever have, is on the level of your thoughts. They can be reprogrammed. Number 0.1. Learn how to use those voices, purposely. Work with the inner Satan through restraint/delay. Continue. 118 Where you're able to achieve more, with this break, than without it. 119 It always does, so screw it. Take an additional day more to rest and relax which serves you. However, stop to forever use stronger drugs like amphetamines, or those who bring the largest unseen harm that is marijuana/hashish, etc. if your goals don't involve it. Number 2.2 For details that is alcohol is only allowed if you must to intoxicate yourself. 120 They always match your level of skill to manipulate them. As a trivia, it's the best way to learn the best manipulation techniques, although you're required to progress before. Lack of the appropriate brain programming/number 0.1 to perform the work given. might be the sole reason why Satan wins. Number 2/all. Implement and follow forever. The realization of goal and its completion. Number 2 is the most important thing in life. Voices are created to serve this purpose, yet an appropriate ratio is required. Light versus Satan, that is 3 to 1, 7 to 1, 10 to 1, 2, 14 to 1, 3/best and more, where you listen for example 3, 7, 10 days straight to light and you give in 1 or 2 days, appropriately to Satan. As to relax when working on your goals, which is required for the maximum performance 118. Make however sure, intoxication with drugs, that might be suggested, wouldn't take a toll 119 on the realization of your goals / limit the last, to 1-2 consecutive days at max. Mix, of pleasure, work, and rest, relax after, its completion / side tasks, is essential. Therefore, you perform a highest motivation work and when the goal is reached, you can spend your time the way you've wanted, return always back to it, when you've given to your inner Satan. However, limit activities only to those which don't interrupt the ability to perform work. It's a challenge to come always back to the task, after a longer pause, so, do it wisely. Delay, just delay the instant gratification, if you want to give in to the Satan. Make it tomorrow, the next 2 days / delay, seemingly, infinitely. More of the techniques. Number 2.2. If you're unsure, ask them to provide more answers, let them convince you, you're always in the everlasting search for the completion of your goals. Number 2. You're striving for a situation where they've got nothing to say 120 unless it leads you to the last. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 72. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 73. 1.4. Overcoming your nature / preface to the process. Issue is that people want everything now, money, women, wealth, and it's your nature. A huge problem with it is that until you're ready / prepared to build the success and maintain along with it the wealth created, it's impossible to have. This drive usually leads to immoral ventures, which provides an easy supply of money, ill-gotten, but they're perceived as giving all the desired in life. Immoral actions don't pay. In the end, it's virtually all lost. Number 1.12. Yet without the knowledge, you're not able to build any business which would sustain itself, as you don't have the required traits to do so. It takes time. The process is hard and few accept their daily jobs, which pay little to none. If you would give in to your inborn nature and won't restrict yourself to earn the required skill, qualities and knowledge during the process. Number 2, it's likely not possible you would achieve anything out of ordinary. Overcoming your nature / in practice. Now, you're here. 5-7 years. You hide and restrict your desires / ego / nature. You do what's required from you. It's called the process. Number 2. Later, after you win in life, because you've attained skill, knowledge and traits required to perform, maintain and build a fortune for yourself equals all the desired qualities and things in life / ending with it at the end of this period. It's easy, but the process in itself, 121 isn't, yet you're able to complete it. More time, in fact, people spent in jails due to their immoral activities. 122 offenses. It's the fight and choice you must take. The process would prepare you for the achievement. Your inborn nature is wrong because it doesn't allow you to change your situation if you let it in your life. It only intensifies the problems. Your character is built of good / bad sides, and you've got a shade. If you allow yourself to the bad side of it, you're likely lost your life. It's an inner fight in your thoughts between light versus Satan, which represents nature and desires. Yes, you would be mad at others who have struck the gold, received contracts which could be filled by 1/25th of its original price, but it means nothing because you're not involved. Besides, money who are unearned/undeserved are wasted and lost/that is count for nothing. You're born with the will to get, but until it won't change the will to bestow, you won't get the desired, or even if you, it won't be a pleasure/it won't fulfill you. That is the bread of shame, due to restriction of an undeserved gift. You're in this game alone. You're required to look for yourself/avoid to look at anyone, because of choice. In a moral way of attracting wealth, you're losing life, commonly as in a reactive way. Your efforts, however, could be invested purposely in the process. Number 2, which is hard, but it's the way which really pays off. 121 initially. 122, number 1.12 and 1.2. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 74. If you still don't get it, until you won't turn the knowledge in the process. Number 2, you won't be able to get the desired, as lack of it would lead to wasting your fortune, possibly earned/fear of loss, etc. It's the only way you're likely to invest your time in/purposefully. In practice, you'd be required to hide your desires and to perform the work for 5-7 years of your time and complete it to the end. This is why so little win 123 really in life, as they're not able to take the responsibility for it/seeking for the easy 124 ways out. Until you won't change your nature, restrict the needs and desires and force yourself into the whirl of work involved in the process. Number 2, to deliver what's expected, you're likely to never attain your dreams. Godlike equals all, complete and best, parasitism, nature, ego, self. It would all come with the find that giving 125 is more plentiful than taking. You would learn in the process 126/number 2, how to make those products/businesses which would win you all the wanted in life, being fully prepared and achieving it, by your own, on your own means, receiving/being led to an idea from the laws operating here, as directly as it sounds. Know it. There is abundance of ideas, but lack of those who are prepared to execute them. In the end, you would be the true winner. Accept it and continue. 123 being itself the reason why those who initially or short-term win, having all loose basically on the moral level as they didn't took their fate. 124 it is the easiest way out, in reality, but takes time to get there/it's the only true way to achievement. 125 in fact, the high level of moral energy, adoration plus, is the secret to be chosen, that is as an actor, manager amongst all the other, and the key to win in life/possible only for those who changed their nature and started the process. Number 2. 126, which is a real law, operating in this reality for the purpose of creation. Number 1.11 XF, reflecting God's requirements for you. Will to bestow, will to bestow, will to receive, will to receive. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 75. 1.5. Understanding choices and shaping your destiny. What you see in this reality is merely an effect of your core beliefs, because as what you believe, you see in your reality. What happens in your world, either good or bad, is a mere reflection of the person you are/was to others. Therefore, if you've not conquered your nature yet, you would get what you've given or caused and give or cause currently upon others. For instance, if people constantly attack you, you might attacked them in the past, as it's brought always to you, after a few years' time delay, to keep the grand illusion 127 alive. If you fear, for example, go to work, because of the emergency which would happen and you won't know how to repair it/that your coworker would scream at you/that you would be criticized or badly rated, guess what would enter your reality, in time. It's not said that you need to avoid, to fear, but more consciously choose the thoughts You're holding that his goal always to work with precognition that everything would rule itself positively. Furthermore, more work/effort can be done to secure your fears, possibly learn more about the machines you're working with, to become an expert and avoid to give reasons others, to have bad opinions about you or yell at you. It enables your development. All laws in this reality are so set in motion that they enable your development, facilitate thinking and require it for the realization of your goals/even if the pain is involved initially. Your life is also subjected to a certain cycles. 127 unconscious use of those mechanisms was presented in number 1.2, number 2.51 and number 3.26.